Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopiya Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Jaya Gopiya Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopiya Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopiya Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Jagana, Jaya Jagana, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jagana, Jaya Jagana, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Radha, Vallabha Radha, Vallabha Sri Radhe. Jaya Radha, Vallabha Radha, Vallabha Sri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hare Hare Ho. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Yayan Udhiraje Nasta Prayesu Vadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttamai Sloke Bhaktir Vavaiti Naistikim. Hare Krishna, thank you so much for being in the Bhagavatam class. So today we will continue the reading of Canto 6 and Chapter 1, the story of the life of Ajamil, text 41. That is on the board. So please, if we can repeat. Jena Swadamani Amivava Raja Sattva Tamo Maya Guna Nama Kriya Rupair Bipa Vyante Jata Tatam Jena Swadam Yami Vava Raja Sattva Tamo Maya Guna Nama Kriya Ragupayar Biva Vyante Yata Tatam. If somebody would like to repeat, please. Yena Swamidami Ami Vava Raja Sattva Tamo Maya Gunamana Kriya Rupe Vivayante Tata Jena Swadamyami Vava Raya Sattva Tamo Maya Gunanama Kriya Rupe Vivayante Tata Jena Swadamyami Vava Raya Sattva Tamo Maya Gunanama Kriya Rupair Vibhavyante Yata Tatam Yena Swadamyami Vava Raya Sattva Tamo Maya Gunanama Kriya Rupair Vibhavyante Yata Tatam. Anyone else? Could you like to repeat? No? Okay. Translation, word by word. Please, if you can repeat. Jena. By whom? Narayana. Swadami. Although in his own place. The spiritual world. Ami. All these. Bhava. Manifestations. Raja Sattva Tamo Maya, created by the three modes of material nature. Passion, goodness, and ignorance. Guna, qualities. Nama, names. Kriya, activities. Rupa, with forms. Vibhavyante are variously manifested. Yata tatam, exactly to the right point. Translation. The supreme cause of all causes, Narayana, is situated in his own abode in the spiritual world. But nevertheless, he controls the entire cosmic manifestation according to the three modes of material nature: Sattva, Guna, Raya Guna, Tama Guna, and in this way, all the living entities are awarded different qualities, different names such as Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, different duties according to the Varnashram institution, and different forms. Thus, Narayan is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation. Purport. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. The Vedas inform us, Natasya karyam karanacha vidyante, natat samas chavyam vikas cha drishyate, parasya shakti vividaiva srutyate, swabhavika janavala kriyacha. Swatavatar Upanishad 6:8. Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is almighty, omnipotent. He has multifarious energies, and therefore he is able to remain in his own abode and without endeavor supervise and manipulate the entire cosmic manifestation. Through the interaction of the three modes of material nature, Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, and Tama Guna. These interactions create different forms, bodies, activities, and changes, which all occur perfectly, because the Lord is perfect. Everything works as if He were directly supervising and taking part in it. Atheist men, however, being covered by the three modes of material nature, cannot see Narayan to be the supreme cause behind all activities. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:13, Trivir gunamair bhavair evi sarvan idam jagat Mohitan navigyanati man evya paraman avyajam. Deluded by the three modes of the whole world does not know me, who I am, abode of the modes and inexhaustible. Because an intelligent agnostic are mohita, illusionated by the three modes of material nature. They cannot understand that Narayan, Krishna, is the supreme cause of all activities, as stated in Brahma Samhita 5.1. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is the cause Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Onangyana Timirandaja, Gyanangyana Shalakaja, Chakshurulumitan Jena, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Kankaroti Vatalam, Vangung Langajate Girim, Jat Kripatam Aham Bande, Sri Guru Dinatarinam. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Utale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvisesa Sunjavadi, Paschatya Deshataharinam. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Well, continue with this presentation of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, especially at this point, the story of Ajamila, and as previous speakers explain us about the importance of the holy name. Basically, the point in this pastime, in this story, is that the power is demonstrated, the power of the holy name, even if it's chanted without the intention to be addressed to the the person who is you are calling, Krishna. Krishna, his names is not different, and Narayan is one of the many names of Krishna. And we understand, we hear many times that Krishna and his names are not different. In our material experience, we do have that differentiation between the objects and the name of the objects. It's quite different experience for us in our conditioned state. But in the absolute realm, in the spiritual world, that differentiation doesn't exist. The name and the object of the name is the same. They have the same potency. And based on that principle is that we as a practitioners of this process, Krishna consciousness, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, with that understanding that if we do it in a proper way, we will be able to interact with the person itself, Krishna himself, because it's not different from his names. So, but to reach that capacity, that level of interaction, we need to qualify ourselves in the sense, understanding that we are not ready yet, or we are in a conditional state, covered by the modes of nature and all our contaminations, false understanding about our identity. So we need to clear that those conceptions, those covers that we have in order then to rise up to our real constitution, real position. So there is a process for that. And here, for example, Prabhupada, in the purpose, is explaining about the Rajaguna, Tamaguna, Sattva-guna, the modes of material nature, and how Krishna, through his energies, is controlling this material creation. As in the previous chapters, we also study that the manifestation of this material, or this cosmic universe, or material universe, it's not like Krishna wants to do that because, okay, I want to create this and I'll do it now. But he does it in the sense that, okay, he wants to facilitate us, independent or so-called independent living entities wanting to enjoy independently from God. So he wants to give us the opportunity to experience that. And for that reason, he created this universe, the material universe, the cosmic manifestation. Because, again, the opportunity for us that in our independent tendency, trying to enjoy from Krishna, enjoy away from Krishna. But how it happened that independent tendency to enjoy separated from Krishna? Because it said that our constitutional position, especially for those who are already practicing Krishna consciousness and hearing about our philosophy, about spiritual science, we heard many times and we are learning that who we are, what is our real constitution. That's Sambandha Gyan. Through the association of devotees, studying the Shastras, Prabhupada's teachings, we learn that we are spiritual souls. That is our constitutional position. But because for tiny memorial, repeated experience of different forms of life, we got some misunderstanding about, or misconception about our identity. And that is one of the root causes of our conditioning. It's called the bodily conception, misunderstanding who we are. And it's one of the main causes why we are not able to experience that spiritual experience that Krishna is providing us through the practice of a spiritual process like Krishna consciousness, because we are still being conditioned with those misconceptions, bodily conception of life, misunderstanding about our identity. And that is manifested through this, the modes of material nature. I was listening one lecture of Srila Prabhupada on this topic, on this text. I was quite beautifully presented the analogy of the sun, that he said that the sun is present everywhere, but not everybody is able to see the sun. Some cities, for example, can be cloudy. You see that the day is there, the lights of the day is there, but you are not able to see the sun because a lot of clouds, or can be mixed. So why is that variation? And Prabhupada nicely explained it's because the modes of material nature, when we are under the influence of Sattva Guna, we will be able to see or the cities which are under the influence of Sattva Guna will be able to see the sun directly, the bright sun. But those under the influence of the Rajgun, they see the mixture of sun, cloudy, but not directly bright sun. And on Tamaguna, darkness, that would be more covered with cloudy day, there's not much sun, you don't see there, it's a little bit depressed. So it's the way how Prabhupada nicely presented the analogy, how Krishna is present everywhere, but we are not able to see him because of these kind of coverings, the modes of nature that we are under, how we, for example, are influenced the modes of goodness, or passion and ignorance, so our perception of God, Krishna being everywhere, it's also constrained by that, or facilitated. For that reason, it's said that the mode of nature, the mode of goodness, is the ideal of facilitate the spiritual practice. And in our Krishna consciousness practice or process, always has been emphasized the opportunity or encourage all of us to situate ourselves at least in the mode of practice, the mode of goodness in our activities, our meditation, trying to develop those qualities that will facilitate our spiritual practice. So this is one point, and also it's clearly explained here because of these modes of nature. And in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna clearly explained how these modes of nature are determine what, for example, the forms, activities that the living entity, its influence or its engaged on. And for that, the Varnashram Dharma as well, how Krishna established the Varnashram Dharma as a means for us to elevate in the process of cultivation our spiritual practice. So in that way, for example, it is important for us to understand how these techniques or process work. But this technique of this process it's not there independently. The process and technique has a principle that determines the process itself. When we said, for example, in Krishna consciousness, in our philosophy, we have Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayojana. So we understand that the process is Avideya, but mainly it's based on the understanding who we are, who is God, what is the relationship that we had with Him. That knowledge is very important. And based on that, we have a process that is Videya, a technique, what we can do to develop that relationship, or based on our understand who we are. And the goal, very important, the goal, Prayojana. And I was listening one lecture, personally very enlightening, important lecture from Bhaktivedanta Swami that I consider it would be nice if I can share with you a little bit and about that class, about that lecture, that it would be a bit instructive for this point. Maharaj explained that basically the idea would be, or ideally in Krishna consciousness we repeat Sambandha, Videya, Prayojana in that sequence, but actually is Sambandha, understanding who we are, knowing what is the goal, Prayojana, and based on the goal we establish the process, Avideya. Because if, for example, in our experience in Krishna consciousness, many times we are engaged in the process, we know what we have to do, following this, chanting your rounds, follow the principles, but in many cases we fail, we experience some failures. And because it's said that one of the causes of why we are experiencing failures is we are not always fixed in our goals. It's important to have clear what is the goal, what is the ideal, the goal that we want to achieve. So the impetus of that, knowing what is my goal, will give me also the impetus continue or be engaged in activities that will facilitate the achievement of my goals. So It's something that I've considered quite important to understand, to analyze, and perhaps reflect a bit among us as a practitioner of this process. The importance of maintaining, of having clear understanding what is our goal. As a Vaishnava, as a Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava, following the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, 6 Goswamis, of all the Guru Parampara, or Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON, we have a goal that we all share. May I request you please to share your understanding. What is the goal of our process?
Love God.
To love God, yeah, to love God. How? What else can be done? It's just to love Krishna? That is the goal? Only? Oh, that's good. It's going back to a spiritual world and serve Krishna, Radha Krishna. That's the goal. Please Krishna. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah. To understand our true self. Yeah. Many goals, looks like. There is one interesting pastime that we many times hear, we heard about it, is Lord Chaitanya himself established this clear for us. It's in the discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy. That pastime that is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Madhya Lila, in chapter 8. It's a nice discussion how it's very clearly stated for at least for us practitioners of this philosophy, this process. When Lord Chaitanya asked to Ramananda Roy a very important question, Lord Chaitanya didn't ask for detail. He was very clear in his question. Do you remember what was the question that Lord Chaitanya asked? That's right. What is the goal of life? That is what is the sadhya? What is the goal of life? That Lord Chaitanya was very direct, clear in his question. What is the goal? And then Ramananda Roy, in the beginning, he starts replying. Say, well, the goal of life can be you have to fulfill your duties, Varnashram and Dharma. And Lord Chaitanya was, no, not yet. He said, no, not really. Ramananda Roy said, well, you have to purify yourself. You have to offer your activities to Krishna, to God. Jat karosi, jat asnasi. Lord Chaitanya said, not really. Ramananda Roy said, well, sarva dharma parityaja. So we all know that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that you have to surrender, that's the goal of life. And Lord Chaitanya said, actually that is external. So then Ramananda Roy said, well, actually the goal of life is to develop Krishna Prema. And then Lord Chaitanya said, yeah, but tell me more. It's not just that, it's something else. Well, then Ramananda Roy said, well, develop love for Krishna and serve Krishna as a friend. And Lord Chaitanya got a little bit more excited and said, yes, tell me more, tell me more. But then the ideal, he said, well, basically is to love Krishna as the residents of Vrindavan, they do. No? So that is the goal of our life, at least in our process in Krishna consciousness. I wonder if many of us, we have cleared this goal in our life, in our practice, when we practice Krishna consciousness or when we are chanting our rounds. Do we have cleared this goal in our mind? It's clear understanding? Because sometimes, probably you, in your interaction with devotees, and even sometimes in my personal case, so we think, oh, this material body is full of anxiety, miseries. I don't want to take birth again. I want liberation. I want to go back to Godhead. No more repeat birth and death. I just want to get freedom, mukti, liberation. So we think that can be that the goal, and because I don't want to suffer anymore, so I'll be chanting Hare Krishna. So let's chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, because we don't want to suffer anymore. Is that the goal? Not really. Because if we don't want to suffer anymore, other things can be done. Yes, chanting Hare Krishna will do, but that is not the goal. That is not the goal. So the importance of having clear understanding what is the goal in our life every day, and the association of devotees is that, because when newcomers come to Krishna consciousness, when we came for first time probably, because of the association of devotees, we came to know about this, what is the goal of life. For example, it was Bhakta Sak. He was the first one who said the goal of life, the love for God. No, because you heard from, because in association of devotees by your readings, yes? Yes, it's that we learn when we come because of the association of devotees. That is how it works, Krishna consciousness. Association of devotees, they give us the guidance, what is the goal of life. And by reading Prabhupada's book, by reading or association with advanced devotees, we come to know more how to develop that love of God, in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. That is the goal. And by reading constantly, we will internally internalize that goal. That will be more our real life experience. But it has to be constant. If we don't cultivate our address and oriented our activities based in that, trying to achieve more knowledge about how to love Krishna, remembering our goal, we will lose track of what we really want to achieve, and then we will experience some frustrations perhaps, and we won't be successful in the practice of our spiritual activities. So it's quite important. I was appreciating how Maharaj emphasized that for many devotees, if they don't experience satisfaction, happiness, or success in their spiritual practice, it's because after sometimes we lose track of what is the goal of our life, what is the goal of our process. And he said that, for example, for any experience in life, we need 3 factors. One is the opportunity to experience, then the capacity or the ability of the experience, and the desire. For any experience in this material world, we need these 3 factors. But in the spiritual practice and in our spiritual process, they are not these 3 factors are not fully integrated. They are not required, actually. We require only 2. Can you tell me which one those 2 factors would be? Among those 3, opportunity, ability, and desire, what would be, or which ones would be the important factors to have a spiritual experience? Desire, good, that is very important. And? Pardon me? Ability, yeah, that's right. It said that if we understand that we are spiritual souls, that is our constitutional position, spiritual souls, so by nature we have that ability to experience or to have a spiritual experience, because that is our position, our constitutional nature. So that is there, the ability to experience or to have a spiritual experience is there. And the important factor, as Mataji mentioned, the desire. Very strong desire to have a spiritual experience. So perhaps we can question ourselves how we are, or how is our desire. Are we really strongly willing or desiring to have a spiritual realization, a spiritual experience, or our desire is tinged with other kind of material desires around? So something also that perhaps we need to reflect upon that as well. What is the quality of our desire? Because it's said that if we have this strong desire to have a spiritual experience, and the ability is there, Krishna naturally will give us the opportunity to have that spiritual experience. Krishna wants that for us. So it's something that is actually there. The only thing that we have to perhaps develop and clarify and work on is the quality of our desire. Because it said that, I don't know if you have the experience, but many times when I'm trying to introspect about my spiritual practice, sometimes I realize I face a little bit shaming thing, but I'm still having some material desires. And it's sometimes, for example, still hopes in external arrangements or bodily comfort or mental satisfaction about some kind of, because we have many needs or many desires related to the physical body or mental body, or social interactions. A lot of desires that limit or constrain the quality of pure desire of spiritual experience. So that I consider that is important point that I thought it would be nice if we all try to reflect and analyze, because we are studying Ajamila, the case of Ajamila, who initially he was practicing his duties as Pakka Brahmana, performing rituals, duty worship even. He was assisting his father, but he fell down. And as previously also we were mentioning, can be the possibility for us, no? Because in our experience in Krishna consciousness, we interact with many devotees that sometimes for a period of time practicing Krishna consciousness, and then after we drift away, so we lose enthusiasm, and then not just live Krishna consciousness as a practicing spiritual activities, but we get entangled in non-favorable activities, sinful activities, and how this can happen, those deviations. So as a practitioner devotees, we need to be very careful and also aware what is taking place on us, what actually are the facilities and the circumstances that we can take advantage of and go forward in the achievement of our goals. And of course, for that, some important factors like the association of devotees to keep us, reminding us about the purpose of life, teaching or learning from them how to practice this process, the abhideya, to achieve our goal. Because it's said that in the material world, generally it's said that your activities will lead you to the goal. But in Krishna consciousness, according Bhaktivedanta Swami, and a personal understanding also, is that your goal will direct your activities. So it's very important for us to have clear this point. Based on our goal, then the quality of our activities will be defined. So the future, the goal, will determine your present. It's not like your present will determine your future. In one sense, if we, for example, perform spiritual activities, pious activities, or whatever it is, the future will be the benefit of that. But in this case, as a practitioners of this process, we don't want to get deviated with those pious activities or impious activities, because the goal of Krishna consciousness goes beyond that. So if we have clear understanding of the goal, the future, that is Krishna Prem, in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, that is, please let's keep it clear here, at least for in my case. Sorry, I'm just sharing with you what I thought was quite revealing. I heard many times that, but many times also I forgot, and I didn't reflect deeply on that, and losing a lot of time in my spiritual practice, and perhaps the quality of my activities, my practice also. So I thought it would be useful to share this point. And yes, if you have any questions, any comments. Yes, Mataji. Oh, Prabhu as well. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Very nice lecture. So how to increase our love for Krishna?
Yes, good question. How to increase our love for Krishna? Yeah, our Srila Prabhupada create a very beautiful institution. It's a gift, causeless mercy's gift that he brought he gave us, or he's giving us. He created an association, an institution of devotees. He is giving us Vaishnava Devotees Association. So the way how we can develop or learn, grow in our love for Krishna is because association of devotees. And also for constantly associating with Srila Prabhupada, because he said that to have love for God is not something that you can just get, okay, I know now and I'll get it. I know the goal of my life is develop love for Krishna, love for God in the mood of Vrindavan. With that understanding, I'll perform my activities. It's not just that. He said that we learn, or you get that opportunity by the association of those who have that love for God. And for that reason, it's important to associate with advanced devotees. In our case, as a practitioners of ISKCON Krishna consciousness, we have the opportunity to daily, every moment, associate with Srila Prabhupada, who is advanced devotee. Because that association is not constrained to the physical interaction with the devotee. Association means opening our heart to the mood of the devotee, to the opening our heart to the opportunity to associate with that advanced devotee. So by studying the Shastras, Prabhupada's books, it's the effective way how we can, everybody has the opportunity to get the benefit of association of devotee, advanced devotee. And not just that, we have that beautiful community of devotees here. There are many devotees, I'm telling you, that they are very advanced devotees that can help us in cultivating and growing in our spiritual practice. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Smear to dust, you have to smear the advanced devotees. Dust.
Yes, yeah, that's right. You say, taking the dust of the devotees. But actually what that means is just taking the dust, because every morning I can come here and clean the temple with my hands, my hair, and put it. It's just that. He said that smearing the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees means to follow their instructions, to follow their examples. So, and that means to follow or taking the dust of the lotus feet of devotees, advanced devotees. Yeah. Anything else? Mataji, you have a question?
Mataji, two things. One is, many devotees don't actually have a goal in spiritual life, or when they chant, don't actually have a goal. So what's their fate? And another thing is, we have to cultivate our goal as the mood of Vrindavan devotees. Is it? Did you say?
Lord Chaitanya established that.
Vrindavan Brajvasis. So if we actually don't know that, what does that mean? We have to actually know that first, or?
Well, actually, especially in our branch, that for the reason I mentioned in the beginning, our Brahma Gauda Vaishnava Sampradaya, that is our branch. It's our goal is clearly stated by Lord Chaitanya, and we are followers of Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis, and our Prabhupada. Established clearly from the very beginning. But doesn't mean it's the only way. There are other spiritual processes as well, and they are bona fide. Because love of God, you can love, and also part of the Shastras is there are many relations, moods of relationship, neutral, Santa Ras, Dasi Ras, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, Madhurya. That was the 5 principles, and other 12 more secondary, 7 more, and limited forms to relate God. Love of God is the goal, and can be developed for different groups, also other sampradayas as well. They are bona fide. But especially in ISKCON, we have this goal. It's very clearly stated. And we have to respect the spiritual experience of other groups as well. That is, we are no anyone who can judge if this is bona fide or not. But the respect for that it should be. And Krishna can be, and also we learn that Krishna reciprocates with everybody. It's unique, the relationship that everybody has. We share here a common ground in the Krishna consciousness movement based on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. We feel inspired of that, and not just that, in the mood of the resident of Vrindavan, we have also variety. Not everybody is like the gopis. We have also Jasoda Mai, the Sakas. A lot of variety of the resident of Vrindavan and their relationship with Krishna. So it's something higher. I personally consider a little bit too premature for myself to talk about it. But we have that knowledge as idea. Yeah, Prabhu wants, okay. If that answers your question, Mataji? Oh, I didn't understand.
I was
perhaps?
referring to, thank you, it covered more than I asked, but specifically in our society, many devotees, we don't actually have a goal. So does it mean that no, you have to have a goal and this should be the goal?
Oh, your question is not many devotees in our Krishna consciousness, in our ISKCON, they know the goal. They don't know the goal. Many they don't know.
A goal. Like
they don't have the goal.
Yeah.
They know the goal, but they don't have the goal.
Well, if they don't have a goal, does it mean that this should be the goal to develop the mood of Rajavasis?
Well, again, as I said many times, when we come in contact with devotees in ISKCON, we hear from the very beginning love for God, pure love for God. We hear about the gopis, the resident of Vrindavan. But it's just here. No, it comes just as a theoretical understanding, but we don't internalize that. And we lose a lot of time. And yes, we feel motivated in association devotees. Perhaps it's novel and just new things to learn, to practice. I feel happy. But doesn't last when we are not focus-oriented. For that, we experience even some difficulties in our spiritual practice, or we drift away from Krishna consciousness because we are not clear in the goal. But for that reason, it's important for all of us to analyze, internalize how this is taking place in my personal practice, in my life. What is really the goal of life? And I know it, I heard it, okay, this is, but I really want this? Is my desire, or I need to develop the desire? So it's something important. For that we have this practice, Abhideya. By association of devotees, we learn how to develop that desire, how to practice as well. Because in our conditioning instead we have mixture of desires.
And regarding that point about experience depending on ability, desire, and opportunity.
Yeah.
You said opportunity is not so relevant in spiritual life, is it?
Well, it's not like an opportunity is not relevant. It's not like the opportunity is, in one sense, is available because Krishna is the one who gives us the opportunity if we have the desire. Krishna is very much excited, willing to provide all the facilities for all of us. All the opportunity for spiritual experience. It's something that we don't have to be worried much. Why? Because Krishna is facilitating, even for example, like Lord Chaitanya led in Kali Yuga, okay, love for God, it's openly given. That kindness, that compassionate move is there. Krishna is providing. The only thing that we have to work hard is, in order to take advantage of those opportunities, is to develop the strong desire, because even the ability to have a spiritual experience, understanding that we are spiritual souls, is there.
I don't know whether we have covered Jeevdaya, avoid Vaishnava Aparadh, offenseless chanting of the pure holy name, and dancing and feasting, and taking remnants from the pure devotees.
Yes, that's right.
Tasting.
Yeah, for that reason, when we have cleared the goal, naturally our practices will be directed. Abhideya will be in, and as Prabhu you mentioned, that is Abhideya, that is the process. Avoiding offenses, be focused on the chanting. Every day, what we do after Mangalarti, we recite the 10 offenses, and at the end, what is the goal of life? Krishna Prema. But we do really got it? We just repeat it because it sounds fancy. I don't know. Every day we repeat what we should not do. Every day is part of our process, our Abhideya, the sadhana. But sadhana, it's very much determined by the sadhya, the goal, sadhya and sadhana. So as you mentioned nicely, the sadhana is avoiding offenses, Vaishnava Parada. We have to avoid those stuff. We have to cultivate association of devotee, taking prasada nicely. Yeah, that is the process. But that will be nicely practiced when we have cleared the goal. Sadhya and sadhana. Yes, Prabhupada.
How can we learn more to see Krishna everywhere and everything?
Yeah, that's a good question. How we can learn to see Krishna everywhere? In every, yeah. Prabhupada, nicely, that was beautiful lecture of Prabhupada. In this text in Bhagavatam, it said, because of modes of nature, we need to purify our consciousness. Because, for example, we are not able to interact or have the spiritual experience because of, for example, if we are under the influence of mode of ignorance, of passion. So ideally is to cultivate goodness, clear or purify our consciousness that will help us to receive knowledge, spiritual knowledge, and also to see Krishna. It's like the example of the sun. Krishna is everywhere. That means the sun is everywhere. But when we are in the mode of goodness, that means purity in our consciousness, we will be able to see the sun everywhere, the bright sun. But when our consciousness is covered by the mode of ignorance, a lot of contaminations there, so it will be cloudy, so no, you are not able to see the sun. So we need to clear up that purity. And we have the process for that. And the ideal process for that is? Chanting Hare Krishna, yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But there is one thing very important. In our process of Krishna consciousness, process is the process itself, by chanting Hare Krishna, is the goal as well. Is the sadhana and the sadhya. But as we said before, chanting Hare Krishna can purify the consciousness, but it's just a side effect. The goal of chanting Hare Krishna is Krishna Prema. And for that, yes, we need to purify our consciousness, and we can do it by chanting Hare Krishna. But doesn't remain there. I don't have to purify my consciousness as a goal of life. I need to purify my consciousness to reach my goal. Yes. Yes. So let's keep in mind that by chanting Hare Krishna, I'll purify my consciousness, but I'll go also beyond that to develop Krishna Prema. And chanting Hare Krishna, the goal or the purpose of that is Krishna Prema in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. At least for us. Is that okay? Yeah? Okay. Yes, Mataji. Please. Humility, yeah.
How important it is to understand that nobody's better and nobody's worse. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with Radharani. And we are all equal in the sense that we're all spirit souls. Yeah. So when we truly understand that, then our heart chakra will open up and love will develop naturally. So by chanting Hare Krishna, we learn to become humble and realize that we're just all spirit souls, all equal in our endeavors to become God conscious.
Yeah, you are right, Mataji.
It's very important.
Yeah, that's right.
Not a false humility, but a deep inner understanding that, we're all sinful. That's why we're here in this material world. Yeah. And nobody's better and nobody's worse. And as you make advancement, you realize this. And it opens up your heart chakra, and then you become so joyful and happy to associate with devotees, to laugh and cry with them, and to love them and see them for who they truly are.
Yeah, you're right. And even something that also from the very beginning in our process, we hear the requirement for chanting Hare Krishna. There is very important, the third text of the Sikshastaka, Lord Chaitanya himself also started, Trinada Pisa Nichena, Tarora Pisa Hejana, Amarina Amadina Kirtaniya Sadahari. So for chanting, in order to chant Hare Krishna constantly, we need to develop that humility, the mood of humility, and be more tolerant than the tree. Not expect respect from others, and be able to offer respect to others. So it's quite important, those conditions for in order to chant Hare Krishna. But also that remind me what you said, very important, how Bhaktivedanta Thakur described humility. You said humility not as an external thing, no? That sometimes can be external or superficial. Well, many of us, we have to learn in that way in the beginning. But Bhaktivedanta Thakur defined humility as the ability to acknowledge, recognize what is our real position. And you mentioned that, yes, we all are sinners. By acknowledging and remembering all the sinful things that we do, naturally will come that humility, because I do recognize that I'm a sinful person. I don't dare to point out others because I did many sinful things. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur nicely presented that in that way. By acknowledging our own conditioning, humility will come naturally. But for that, we have to have that endeavor to acknowledge it, to be more introspective. And previously also talking with another devotee, a senior devotee, the importance of being humble and grateful. So those important factors, the important qualities that as spiritual practitioners we should develop and endeavor to develop, is humility and gratitude. They are go together. Yeah. Thank you for your comment, Mataji. Chris, anything else? Thank you for your time. Granted us Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada ki, Jai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo, Vanchakalpataruyascha, Kripa Sindhuyascha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.